Well, automobile insurance, not only for our own safety, but also protecting others in the event of an accident or injury. It is certainly not cheap, but Tom Sinus joining us now to explain additional underinsured motorist coverage, which is going to give you more coverage, but it's also going to cost you even more in your premium, I guess.
Well, it's actually one of the best deals you can get, but what are we talking about? Well, do you remember a few weeks ago we talked about an optional but really important form of coverage called uninsured motorist coverage, and we talked about hit and run accidents and drivers without insurance. Well, there's another form of coverage that has almost the same sounding name, but it's different, and it's different in a really important way. It's called underinsured motorist coverage. What is this? This is insurance to protect you and your family from bad drivers who have lousy insurance. Uninsured motorist coverage, the one we talked about 2 weeks ago, was to protect your family against bad drivers with no insurance. Well, what do I mean by lousy insurance? Well, we have not changed in the state of Michigan the minimum amount of liability coverage since the 1960s. So you can legally drive a car in the state of Michigan with a liability policy of only $20,000.
Which was fine back in the 60s when things weren't so expensive.
Things have gotten quite more expensive.
It's just in called inflation.
And yes, you have your no-fault benefits, but remember, one of the key things about our no-fault system is when it comes to lost income. You can only get your first 3 years of lost income from your no-fault insurer. So what if, heaven forbid, you're catastrophically hurt and you can't work again beyond those 3 years? Your only remedy is that liability claim against the at-fault driver. But that at-fault driver can have a policy of $20,000 and be driving perfectly legal. That's where underinsured motorist coverage comes in. Underinsured motorist coverage, my advice, buy as much of it as you can. It's really cheap.
That's a good news.
You can buy $500,000 of coverage for maybe 20 bucks a year. And that, if you do that, that will mean that you will have that $500,000 of coverage available to you regardless of the fact that the at-fault driver bought a small amount of insurance. So I think of it like this. We cannot control who hits us. We certainly cannot control the insurance buying decisions of the people who hit us. But what we can control is, before we go out there, make sure we understand these concepts. When you have optional choices like this, know what they are and pay the premium to protect your family. There is nothing worse than when someone comes into my office and they're the victim of someone else's negligence, and I have to tell them that the liability insurance claim in their case is only worth $20,000. And then I tell them about underinsured motorists, but then it's too late.
It's so cheap if you could have got ahead of time.
That's right. The last piece of advice here is, if you have one of these claims, they can be tricky. They're trickier than the uninsured motorist claims we talked about a few weeks ago. So it's a good idea to make sure that you know what you're doing. Consider talking to a lawyer, because it's the kind of claim that can be easily messed up if it's not handled correctly.
It's a pain. People need to track you down. Where do they find you?
Sure. They can give us a call, West Michigan, 616-301-3333. Find us online at www.sinusdramus.com, or shoot us an email at info@sinusdramus.com.
All right, thanks, Tom.
Thanks for having me.